know if you want to sit up on blankets, do. If you want to be in a chair, or if you want to be on the floor. Just let yourself feel good about how you're sitting, and if you are in your chair, you can get your feet right underneath your knees, hips distance apart and parallel. And then just close your eyes. Let yourself feel the head floating up there on top. See if you can feel a sense of reaching up through the top of your head. Accept your breaths in and out through your nose. Imagine you're breathing equally in and out through both sides of your nose. And see if you can start to bring the breath into your belly, feeling your belly expand as you inhale. Let your hands come on out beside you. So if you're on the floor, fingertips can lightly touch the ground here. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And go ahead and bring your chin down towards your chest. Bow your head forward a little bit there. Let your neck release. And then just roll one ear towards one shoulder. Doesn't matter which side you go to. Come on back through center, and then just easily roll the other direction. And then come on back into center. And let's rise the gaze on back forward and inhale our hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down like wings. And let's inhale the hands straight out from the shoulders and flex your hands a little bit here. Let yourself really feel the undersides of your arms. And then let your fingertips face down. Good. And then from there, just shake your hands out, wiggle your fingers around a little bit, let yourself let go there. Good. And if you're cross-legged on the floor, just switch the cross of your legs right away here now. And then let's come a little bit forward and back with our breath, letting our exhales bring us forward with a long back, and our inhales bring us back up. So we're moving with the breath, but it feels very natural. Doesn't matter how far you come forward. Think about keeping the length of the spine. Good. And the next time that you come on back up, let yourself come on back up to sitting nice and tall. And now let's bring our arms behind us. So if you're in your chair, you can just drape yourself right across the back of the chair, letting the arms come back, maybe even looking up a little bit, depending on your neck. And if you're on the floor, you can just touch the floor with the fingertips or lean back into your hands if you want to. Let yourself be easy. I mean, some people really like to look up. It feels good to them to stretch the throat out a little bit. But really be mindful of your neck. You don't want to just drop your head back, right? You want to feel really easy about that. One more breath. And then we'll come on back up. And we're going to inhale our right arm. I'm going to mirror you all the way out and up overhead. And we're going to come over into side stretch here. So you can put your hand on the floor if you're there on the floor to give you a little support. If you're in your chair, you can put your hand in your lap, or you can let your arm just hang. Just coming into releasing through that side of the body. And then let your head just turn a little bit, you know. You can look up a little bit, or you can look down a little bit, or you can do a little bit of both. And then come on back to look forward. We're going to rise back up, and we're going to inhale the left arm all the way out and up. And then again, when you come over into your side stretch, be easy. And if the head can turn a little bit, and you can let your neck release while you're in your side stretch, do. push off and come on back up. Lower your arms on down beside you and make a little circle with your shoulders, an easy little circle going one way, and then just reverse and let your shoulders easily circle the other way. And do that one more time. One circle, one direction, and then when you're ready, reversing and going the other. Good, and then shake out a little bit. We're going to stretch our legs out in front of us if we're on the floor, okay? And you can too in your chair for a minute, but those of us in our chair, we're going to reach over and get a block. Those of us in our chair are going to put our feet down on the floor, but you all on the ground, keep your legs long and take a block and bring it between right above your knees if you can, so that you're squeezing your legs into that block there. So you can feel this pressure of squeezing into the block. Feel your sitting bones drawing down and lengthen up through the crown of your head. She's like, I don't want the block. Now, it's good for it. So as we press into the block and we're lengthening up, we're going to twist here. But when you do it, bring yourself around to the right into a twist. Keep squeezing into that block with your legs. So you're coming around, you're squeezing into the block, you're very engaged there. You feel your thighs, you feel your hips, and feel your feet in the floor, whether it's your heels or the bottoms of your feet. Good. One more inhale. Now keep squeezing as you come back into center and keep on going into the other direction. So you're really feeling that engagement in your legs and your hips. So keep pressing into the block there for one more breath. On your next exhale, bring yourself on back around into center again. Good. And then take that block on out. Probably had about enough of it. And then from there, as you bring your legs out long, whether you're on the floor or your chair, go ahead and move through your feet a little bit, circling. You can do opposite. If you'd rather let them go opposite instead of the same direction, when you're ready to switch directions, just let yourself go the other way. Take your time. And you can flex and point a little bit too. Good. And then let's come on around towards our hands and knees. So you know if you don't want to be on your knees, do not be on your knees. You can turn your chair around and let yourself have your hands up on the seat of your chair, or you can, if you want to, be up on a blanket with your knees and or your hands, if that feels better. If your wrists bother you, really pay attention. If you need to come on to fist stew, if you need to get out of your hands totally, you can come down onto your forearms. And then just start to ease your way into your cat pose. Let's stay in cat for a couple of breaths. So you're drawing your navel towards your spine, your tailbone's releasing down, your head's hanging. And then on your next inhale, send your tailbone back and up. Feel how your belly drops down and your ribs and your chest. You can either stay looking down or you can look forward. That's up to you and how it feels in your neck. So as you start to just move mindfully with your own breath, just really pay attention to how it feels to let yourself flow through your back this way. I mean, the way our spines are built enables us to have all these movements that we can do in our spine, and we have all these curves and a lot of suppleness. But just enjoy, maybe just appreciate your spine here. Warm up all the muscles here along your spine. And you're warming up your belly too and your back. And finish off the one you're on. And come on back to more neutral spine. And let's come into lunge, bringing our left foot forward and our right foot back. And how long of a lunge you take is totally up to you, and how high your hands are, same thing. Your hands can be on a chair, they can be on blocks. You can take your time, you can be higher or lower, but come into the back of that right leg there. And think about feeling your belly engaging a little bit. Right? You don't want to engage your belly so much that you drop your tailbone down. You're actually letting your tailbone reach back on that diagonal line, but you do want to feel your belly zipping up a little bit. We're going to switch legs. So coming to the other side, and again, as you Get yourself into the length of stance that feels fine for you. Just make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. Engage your belly, draw your shoulders down a little bit, away from your ears. Appreciate that stretch down the back of the left leg there. Good, we're going to switch legs again. So once you get there this time, if you feel like you want to bring your left hand up to above your knee there on your thigh or your forearm, if you're in a deeper stance, you might want to put your forearm there to give you a little support. You can, but you don't need to bring a hand up, only if you want to. And then we're going to switch legs again. Again, once you're in the lunge, if that right hand wants to come up, you can bring it up to your thigh there or not, your forearm, but you don't need to. Good, and then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to step forward and come on into standing forward bend. So feet hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful of how your back feels. Use whatever kind of support you need. So you know if you want to put your elbows above your knees, do, or if you want to put your forearms on a chair, or you want to put your hands on blocks. And just easily let your head turn a little bit from side to side. So you really start to appreciate the weight of your head and you find a release in your neck. And then come on back into center with the head and really feel your feet equal in the floor here. Good. So one more breath. And we'll bend our knees here, press into our feet, and rise on up to standing. And we're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose, check your feet out. If you need to look at them, do. Let yourself, get that distance apart where you feel very, very well based through your feet. And it feels good and easy. Parallel the feet out as you can. And then bringing your gaze forward. Let your hands come together in front of your heart, whether your eyes are opened or closed. Just really imagine that you're looking straight out rather than dropping your chin down or lifting it up. And you have this sense of space in the back of your neck and your throat. And then once the pelvis is aligned, so your tailbone is dropped down, reaching down towards between your heels, it just feels natural to get stacked up with your hips over your ankles and your shoulders over your hips. And then just feel connected there with each finger of your hands and your thumbs, your palms, whatever part are touching. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll bend our knees, come on forward into that standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find a nice flat back. Whether your hands want to go to your thighs or your shins or your chair or your blocks. And we'll step the right foot back here to come into lunge. And draw your shoulders down. Let yourself enjoy here, feeling your whole body in your lunge. And we'll make our way into a downward facing dog pose. So whether your hands are on blocks or a chair or the floor, focus on really extending into that length of your spine, reaching back through your tailbone, feeling that real sense of actually sides of the body being equal as well. Hug your elbows a little towards each other, so feel good in your shoulders. And then we'll come on out towards a plank. You don't have to go all the way into a push-up pose. You can go a little bit forward. You can, if you want, come onto your forearms and do a forearm plank, or you can put your knees down and do a half plank that way. If you want to do push-ups, go ahead, bend your elbows a little bit, come a little more into your arms, into your shoulders, and then we're going to come back into downward facing dog pose again. Walk your dog a little bit if you can bend a knee at a time. And let yourself just ease your way into the back of one leg at a time, if possible. And then come on back to your full dog. And let's bring our right foot forward to find lunge. So it doesn't matter how you get it there. If you're on the floor, you can put a knee or knees down and then come forward with that right foot. And then we'll come all the way back again into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And then again, be mindful of your own back. Feel free to adjust however you need for support. Feel those nice, full, deep breaths. See if you can feel the ribs expanding when you inhale in all directions. On your exhales, just imagine that your face relaxes deeper and deeper every time you exhale. And we'll let our knees bend and bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's reverse to inhale the hands straight on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open your arms like wings as you bend your knees and come on forward into that standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. Remember, your knees can be bent. Focus on that flat back. And then we'll step our left foot back and come into lunge. So engage a little deeper. Imagine you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Press your feet away from each other, but feel the belly engaging. Again, you don't want to tuck your tailbone down. Reach your tailbone back on that diagonal line. Good. We're going to come on into downward facing dog pose from here. So make your way into your dog. You know, the height you like your hands to be. Remember, take your time. You know, you may want to change. You may feel like my shoulders might feel better if I'm higher or lower with my hands. So take your time. Again, let yourself feel the length of your spine. You can walk. Anytime you come into dog, if you want to walk a little bit, or if you want to bend both your knees at the same time because that feels really good, just let your body kind of adjust its way. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out towards that plank again. Again, how far you go into a plank, totally up to you. If you want to do forearms or if you want to come into knees down, if you want to bend your elbows, do a little push-up work there, you can. And then we're going to make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And this time the left foot is going to come forward to come into lunge. So again, how you get it there, knee or knees down to get there, or coming up and then back to your lunge is fine. And then we're going to step forward again and come back into our standing forward bend. Feet, hips distance apart and parallel. And be mindful. I mean, I know a lot of you like to bring your hands to your elbows. It feels fine to your back to do that. Feels very releasing maybe to feel that sense of just the weight of your torso coming forward like that. But not everybody's back wants to do that. So be really careful and just be easy. Let yourself feel those full deep breaths again. Go right to the breaths. And then we'll release to bring our hands up to our hips and bend our knees and rise on up. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And let's unfold our arms. Clasp your hands behind you here now. And let yourself just feel the breath coming into those three parts, right? So inhaling into the belly and then into your ribs and then up into your chest. Feeling that actual physical movement, you know, you can feel your belly expand and then you can feel your ribs expand and maybe you can bring the breath up into your lower chest. Remember, when you exhale, it's like you just reverse that process. The breath comes out of the chest and then the ribs and then the belly. Good, and now from here, let yourself bring your gaze forward, send your hands over to the right, kind of fold your left forearm onto your low back if you can, and then if you possibly can, squeeze your right palm into your left. You're squeezing your hands towards each other. So you're engaging your bicep. And then from there, tilt your head a little to the right. You're just letting your right ear come a little towards your right shoulder. And then we'll come up with the head, bring the hands back through center, and we're going to go the other way. So again, if you can fold that forearm onto your low back, squeeze the left palm into your right one, and you're even, you're just really feeling your fingers squeeze and your palms together. And then if you can add that little tilt of the head to the left, letting yourself find a little more release there through the side of the neck. Good, and then release and come on back to center with the head and the hands down. Release your arms beside you and let your arms just rotate here. So you turn the palms forward and then the pinkies come a little farther forward, and then you go back to the backs of the hands forward, and then the pinkies are forward again when the thumbs are back. So you're just letting yourself move through the arms a little bit there. Good, and then finish off with your palms facing forward again. Now we're going to inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll bend our knees as we come forward from the hips into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. And we are going to step into down dog from here. So whatever height you want your hands to be, let yourself come on the back into your down dog. Take your time if you need to walk your dog or bend your knees. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to a plank. You know it's optional to do a back bend here. You don't have to. You can stay in plank. You can move through to a back bend by coming right from that plank to an up dog, or you can come down to the floor and do a sphinx or a cobra. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. So ease your way again back to your dog. And we're going to do that same thing again. When you come out to that plank, it is totally optional to do any kind of a back bend. So take your time. If you'd rather be on the floor and do a sphinx, do. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. And from here, let's bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend again. And again, be really mindful. Get comfortable. If you need to let yourself support hands or forearms onto a surface, or maybe you want to hang your arms down. Be mindful. Let your face go. Especially think about letting your jaw go. So you feel that softness, your teeth separate a little bit, and you can feel really soft through your face and through your jaw, your throat. Good, so one more breath here. And we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, bend our knees, come on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And as we exhale our hands down, let our top of our heads come up towards the ceiling even higher. It's almost like you've grown an inch, feeling the feet in the floor, feeling the crown of the head reaching up. Once you're aligned in the pelvis, really it is so natural for the body to just become aligned. So instead of thinking that you have to force something to happen, see if you can just get your pelvis aligned and then let the top of the head float upward. And imagine that you're being supported right here where you're standing by the air all around you, so that it becomes effortless to be here in your mountain pose. And then we'll unfold our arms right again on down beside us. Shake out a little bit. Walk around if you need to. Move through your arms or legs. I'm going to flip my chair around. We're going to come into Warrior One. So have your blocks handy too at the front of your mat. If you have your chair, you might want to keep your hands on your chair as you step your right foot back, because that keeps you really square with your shoulders. Square towards that front edge of your mat, and let that right foot be turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees. You know, that depends on you. So as your shoulders come around, and you bring your hands together in front of your heart here, and you bring your gaze forward. Just feel really easy in your warrior one. So that you feel balance between your feet. You feel an openness happening right here in the front of your right hip. Whether you're in a shorter or longer stance, you're still going to feel that. Think of the arches of both your feet lifting up. So you're not letting yourself roll to the inside edges of your feet. And then go ahead and unfold your arms on down beside you. Let's inhale the arms straight out from the shoulders into a T position. Reach out through the fingertips. Feel really balanced there now with the arms. And then turn your palms upward towards the ceiling and start to rise the arms up. Now you can stop in a wide V. You can bring the hands more over your shoulders if that feels fine to your shoulders, or stop wider. But then see if you can maybe just bring your gaze up a little bit. Feel that lift through the front of the body. Feel that release down the back of the body, feet still equal in the floor. Warrior one. One more breath. Really a strong pose in the belly, the hips, the low back. We're going to release our arms on down beside us. We're going to straighten that front knee out. And now you really want to think of your hips being square to the front of the mat. If you have to adjust how long your stance is, do. And we're going to come on forward for pyramid pose. So if you have your chair there, you might want to put your hands right there on the back of your chair and not go very low. You know, you can go farther. You can bring your hands down to blocks. You can bring your hands down to the seat of a chair. Just let yourself feel that length of the spine there. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. So you're engaged in your legs. Good. So one more breath here. And then, as you're lengthened through your spine here now, think of that flat back. Let your left hand come up to your left hip. And then just roll that shoulder up a little bit. So you come into revolve triangle, it's called. But you're coming into a twist in the middle of your back. You're trying to stay really level right here on your sacrum. And let yourself have one more breath there. And then bring your hand on back down. And we're going to bend the front knee and step forward and get our feet. You'll have to adjust your feet right underneath the hips. Come on back to your standing forward bend. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, press into our feet, and rise on up. We're going to inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, as our hands come down, think about the top of the head floating up. Feel that lightness in your upper body. But be grounded through your feet. Lift up a little bit with your thighs, so you feel that sense of creating space in your knees. And then release your arms on down beside you. Shake out just a little bit. Good. And we're going to come to the other side, so we're going to step the left foot back this time. So you can still have your chair. If you have your chair there, you can have your blocks. So remember, warrior one, front-facing warrior. So shoulders are square to the front of your mat. But how far back you step with that left foot, or how far out to the left side. You know, you may want to be broader. That helps the balance. If your feet are a little farther apart the wide way. And then the length of your stance is entirely up to you. So if you can bring your hands to your heart and you're bent in that front knee, but it's not going out beyond your toes. You can feel balance between your feet. And feel your feet in the floor. And again, you want to think of your arches lifting up. And you can feel the four corners of your feet into the floor. The base of your big toe mound and little toe mound, and then your inner and outer heel in front of your arch, and back at the back of your arch there, really. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us. And come into that T position again with the hands straight out from the shoulders if you can. Rotate your palms up. And then let the arms float up higher towards that either wide open V or more hands over the shoulders if you want. Feel that lift through the front of the body, that release down the back of the body. So it's not just your legs working here, it is the core of your body, the belly, the low back, and the hips. One more breath. And then we're going to release, let our arms come down, straighten that front knee out. So again, sometimes when you let your legs straighten out, this hip comes back too far. You want to bring the left hip around if you can, squaring your hips, and then coming on forward. And again, your hands can be on the chair back. They can go lower down if you want to the seat of the chair. You can put your hands down on blocks. Once you get your hands down, I didn't say it on the other side, but if you feel the need to adjust your stance with your feet, do it. You might want to get more or less wide. So you're pretty equal here. Your hands are down, so your shoulders are on an equal level. Your hips are pretty balanced here. Your thighs are gently engaging upward towards your hips. Nice. Lengthen out through the spine. Let your spine feel really long here. And we'll keep our left hand down and bring our right hand to our right hip and let your right shoulder roll up as you put your hand down onto your sacrum there. And again, remember, you want to be flat as you can be. And now, feel your feet in the floor again. So, it's very tempting in this pose on that front right foot to roll to the pinky toe side of your foot. So if you can, make sure you're not doing that. You can even lift your toes up. That helps to feel those four corners reaching down. One more breath. And then go ahead, bring your hand on back down. If any of you want to fold over that leg a little bit now, you can. If it feels good, you can fold forward a little bit. And then from here, come on up so you can bend the front knee and get your feet, again, right underneath you, hips distance apart and parallel. And we'll bend our knees, press into our feet, and come on up to standing. And we're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. From here, let's bring our right arm on top of our left and give ourselves a hug and let our elbows really melt down. And your knees can be a little soft. Just make sure you're not locking your knees, right? And you can, I mean, some people tend to do that if you hyperextend, a lot. But also, it's easy to do, just to straighten your legs up and feel like, okay, I'm straight. But instead, you're like jamming into your knees, right? So it's better maybe to feel just a little softness. Now you can head towards backs of the hands coming towards each other if it feels good in your shoulders, towards your eagle wrap. Or of course, you can put your right hand on your left palm if you want to and do that whole little thumbs to the midline twist. Or not, right? There are lots of ways you can do this wrap of your arms that feel easy in your shoulders and good. So remember, we're wanting to make our shoulders feel better, not worse. We're trying to release between the shoulder blades on the back. And then we'll let our arms unfold on down beside us and float the arms out a little bit so you can then bring your right arm on top of your left and give yourself a hug. Let your shoulders melt down. Feel that openness between the shoulder blades. And think again about how you're standing. Just kind of make sure you feel stacked up there. And then again, you can release your shoulders and slide, just coming backs of the hands towards each other a little bit. You don't have to go all the way into the wrap of the left hand on the right palm with the thumbs coming to the midline, but if that feels good in your shoulders, you can. Bring your breath into between the shoulder blades on your back. Nice. And then let your arms unfold on down beside you. Let's inhale the right arm all the way out and up overhead. And then come into a little bit of a side stretch there. And in fact, let your left hand connect to the outside of your left leg. Your palm is in towards your leg a little bit. And just let yourself from here breathe into the right side. And then we'll rise on back up. And we're going to switch. Bring the left arm up. See if you can bring that right hand just to press a little bit into the outside of your leg. And then release into that side stretch. Breathing in to the left side. Feeling the expansion of the ribs. Good. Let's come right back up and come into mountain with arms overhead. Now they can be in a wide V, or you can bring them closer together if you want to, but you don't want your shoulders to lift up by your ears. Think of feeling a nice sense of space between your shoulders and your ears. Good. And then just softly let the elbows bend and let the hands kind of just melt, arms just melt down to be right down alongside you. And then just let your arms hang. Feel open across your chest and your upper back. Nice. And then move however you need to. Shake anything out you need to. We are going to come into Warrior 2 this time. So we'll step our right foot back, and you still want to have your blocks handy there at the front of your mat. But let's step our right foot back, coming into Warrior 2. So getting those heels about in a line. Whether you step back 2 feet or 3 feet or more or less, it doesn't matter. Bend that left knee there. Get a line with your knee. Good. And then from here, let's just float our arms on out. And for a second, let your elbows be a little soft and let your hands circle around in one direction. You can just kind of wiggle your fingers if you want as you do that, and reverse and go the other one. Kind of feel like you're doing a little hand dance out there. And then go ahead and start to reach out through the fingertips and bring the hands to that height where it feels just perfect to release your shoulders down. Feel your feet in the floor. Imagine you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet, so now you're really feeling it up into your hips a little more. You feel your belly. We're going to bring our right hand down onto our right hip. We're going to straighten our left leg out and come into triangle pose now with the left hand coming down. So maybe to the chair, back. Maybe you want to come down lower to the seat of your chair or to a block. But extend that torso out over that left leg. Draw your right shoulder up. And if you want to add the right arm up, you can. It can come straight on up towards the ceiling from your shoulder. Or you can keep your hand down, really paying attention to how your own shoulder feels. Beautiful. One more breath there. Feel those thighs gently lifting upward. We're going to bend the left knee. We're going to come on back into Warrior 2 from there. So the feet are gently pressing away from each other, finding that core strength. And now let your hands come down. We're going to find lunge again. So some of you may want to use your chair back or your chair seat, or some of you may want to go down to your blocks. Let that right heel now release directly behind your foot. And we'll add a twist. Left hand is going to come to our left hip. We're going to roll that shoulder up. Now, you can, if you want, stay right there with your hand. You're still trying to be fairly level, like we were in pyramid, in your hips. You can stretch this left arm up if you want. That's totally up to you. Just be mindful. Let it feel really good to feel that length out through the top of your head, right? There's this long diagonal line through the body. And then we'll come on back down with our hand. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. And then we'll bend our knees again, press into our feet. Come on up and inhale our arms nice and big out and up overhead. And as we exhale, let our hands come down, coming into mountain pose. Let it feel good. If you need to sway around a little bit, go ahead and sway. I mean, you can sway front to back. You can let yourself shift side to side. You know, sometimes when you try too hard to get in the mountain, it feels like very different than if you let your body find its way into your mountain pose. And we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down and shake it out. We're going to go to the other side. So you can, of course, have your blocks handy. And you can use your chair to put your hand on if you need it to step that left foot back, coming into Warrior 2, whether you step feet 2 feet, 3 feet, less or more apart. And find that alignment of that front knee. You know, look down if you need to. Let yourself really be mindful of the knee lining up with the center of your foot. Good. Be really easy there. And then start to let your arms float on up. And again, we're going to circle. I mean, we're going to let our hands kind of circle around. You don't have to have them very high. They can be low. Just move through your wrists a little bit there. Play with your fingers, moving around and wiggling. And then we'll start to easily come up a little bit higher, finding that place again where you're comfortable to look out over the top of your hand, or just leave the hand down. And let yourself feel the feet in the floor, pressing away from each other. Feeling that sense of trying to make your mat longer with your feet. We're going to put our left hand on our left hip, straighten our right knee out. Bringing that right hand down for a triangle. So again, it can be on your thigh. You can have it on the chair back or seat. You can, if you want, put your hand on a block underneath your shoulder there. It can be in front of or in back of that right leg, actually. And then if you want to add the top arm up, straight up from your shoulder, you can in triangle, or you can keep your hand down on your hip. Just enjoy feeling those thighs lifting up towards the hips. So it's like you're creating space in your knees. You're using all the muscles around your knees there. Good. We're going to just bend the front knee. Come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other a little bit as we come. And then as your hands come down now, we're going to come back to that lunge. So again, you just put your hands whatever height you want. Rotate that left heel to go directly behind your foot. And to add that twist of right hand to the right hip and roll that shoulder up again, palm down if you can do that, so that you can make sure you're not dropping into that left side of the body there. You're trying to stay pretty level in your hips. You can stretch your arm up if you want, but just really focus on the length of the spine. You know, you're reaching back through that inner left heel, and then you're reaching forward and out on that diagonal line through the top of your head. One more breath. And then we'll bring the hand on back down. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. Stay in your standing forward bend for a breath or two, whatever support you need. Elbows above your knees or hands on your blocks, whatever works. If you like to go ahead and fold and hold your elbows, just feel really easy in your back there, whatever you choose to do. And watch your breath now. See if you can really focus on your breaths all the way through. So you feel your inhale, your ribs expand. Before you exhale, you feel that tiny little space. And then when you exhale, imagine the top of the head getting closer towards the ground. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips and bend our knees and rise on up. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. Then on our exhale, we'll let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. So again, just let mountain pose find its way there, right? Once you get your pelvis aligned and you feel your feet equal as the floor, you feel the upper body really floating. Good. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms right on down beside us and shake out a little bit, walk around if you want to. Good. And you know, we're going to bring our mats into a wall today. We have lots of room today. So you can just, send your chair off to the side if you're using a chair and bring your mat to where the short edge of your mat comes into a wall. So, yeah, like we have lots of room. Kathy, you three can all be on that wall, and then Helen, you and Nancy can be on that one. And yeah, good, perfect. So, if you need to, Trudy, you can even come. Are you guys okay like that? Are you okay? Okay, because we're going to go to the wall. We're going to go to the wall and turn our left hand towards the wall. So let yourself get close to the wall. Bring your left hand to the wall. And we're going to come into a little tree pose. But first, just for fun, even if you usually bring your foot off the floor right away, put your right heel into the inside of your left ankle and let your toes be on the floor still. I mean, maybe even the ball of your foot. Just kind of depends what feels good to you. And then from there, bring your gaze forward. So get your shoulders over your hips. See if you can release the wall and bring your hands to your heart. You have a little bit broader base of support when your toes are there. Still, it's not easy. Right now, you are really using that left leg big time. Feel this uplift in the front of the left hip. And you, of course, can put your hand back on the wall if you want to lift your foot up to the inside of your calf or up to the inside of your thigh. So if you want to do that, you can use support to do it. And then you can play a little bit once you do that with your balance of either arms overhead or having your hands at your heart. And if you start to, fall over, lose your balance, you can put the foot down and you can always kind of readjust and go back up again and try again. Sometimes a little break feels good because you don't want tree pose to feel like you're just forcing your way. You don't want to freeze everything up and tighten everything up, right? It's like the same thing as I talked about in mountain. It's kind of like you're growing your way into your tree pose. It feels very natural. Nice. And when you're ready to come down, take it easy. Take care of that leg you were standing on. We're going to turn around and do the other side. So just be mindful of letting yourself, again, keep that left toes or ball of the foot on the floor. Bring the left heel to the inside of the ankle, right there on your ankle bone. Right? And that way, that kind of forces your hips to stay fairly level as well. You have a broader base of support. Maybe you can bring your hands to your heart, or you may even want to play with your arms overhead in this one too. So just be mindful. Take your time. And then, of course, if you do want to bring the foot off the floor, because you're like, I really like bringing my foot to my inner calf or up above your knee to your inner thigh. And let yourself just take your time. Hand can stay on the wall, right? It's even fun sometimes to keep your hand on the wall and close your eyes. It's balancing with your eyes closed. Not really usually a good thing to do, but keeping your hand on the wall and then just really feeling what is happening in your body while you're supported can be really good. Nice. And then when you're ready, come on down. Turn to face the wall for a second. Bring your hands to the wall and then just kind of walk a little bit. Bend one knee at a time. Try not to, put your hands in an easy place where your shoulders are fine, and just let yourself walk a little bit, one heel at a time, going down towards the floor. Good, and then you're going to let yourself come to where you're going to step forward. Your hands are both on the wall, and your feet are underneath you, really, all right? From here, we're going to shift our weight to our left foot, bend our right knee, and let our foot come behind us up towards our buttocks. If you want to reach now back with your right hand, with your left hand staying on the wall, you can come into a quad stretch that way. You don't have to get the foot to feel your quad. Just bending the knee and flexing the foot will do it. If you do have the foot and you can pull it in a little more towards your buttocks and get your quad a little more stretched out, do. That feels good. And then some of you might want the left hand to go up a little bit higher on the wall and come forward with your chest and back with your knee. And if you have the foot, you can press the foot into your hand, right? So just let yourself enjoy this pose without, struggling with balance right now. Let yourself just enjoy opening the quad a little bit, right? So you can just release a little bit with the foot coming back a little without holding it. Now come on back, put the foot back down to the floor, bring the hands both back to the wall if they were up, and now we're just going to bend the left knee. So there you go. You don't have to do any more than that. You can if you want. Put your left hand on your left foot and hold on to it and pull the heel in, but that's really not for everybody's knee, right? And if, of course, you like to push the foot into your hand and Bring your chest towards the wall a little bit. If you only have one hand on the wall, then you can just let the chest come towards the wall and let your knee come back behind you. You can also keep both hands on the wall and let yourself go back with that knee if you're not got the foot, right? Good. And then finish off. Come on back down. Turn around now with your back to the wall. Bring your feet out in front of you a little wider than you do in mountain. And bend your knees, and you decide if you want to come forward just with your hands resting here or your forearms coming above your knees. And I mean, for most people, forearms above the knees feels good, but not always. So you just kind of be where you can. If you need to be a little wider, be a little wider. Let it feel really good up into your hips. Really, it's the wall. It's like your buttocks back there on the wall that's supporting you. And lengthen through your spine if you can. Let your spine stay long. Good. One more breath. Just letting it feel like a huge relief for your back and your hips. And then we're going to rise up. Take your time. Bring yourself back with your feet. And we're going to come to sitting. Okay? We're going to come and let ourselves just bring our legs out in front of us. And, you can sit on a blanket. You can sit on 2 blankets. You can sit on 3 blankets, Just let yourself get comfortable. You can sit up on a block if being even higher helps. Now, all we're going to do is send, and I'm going to do the same leg because everybody's facing different directions. Send your right leg out a little bit beside you, right? So instead of directly in front of your hip now, it's going to go out to the side. And then you're going to bring your left foot in if you can. Now, this is not for everybody's knees either. So if this feels like way too much, to get your heel kind of in the midline of your body right there, then bring it forward too. I mean, you can put a block underneath it because all we're going to do is come forward like this. So when you come forward, you're going to know if it's too much pressure in that knee. What we're trying to do is find the inside of this leg that's out to the side, the right leg, right? And it won't take long. Put your hands a little bit in front of you and lean a little forward. There it is. It's just a release there for your inner thigh. So don't force it. I mean, for some of you it might feel just great. You might be, oh, I just want to keep going because it just feels really good. So if it does, do. But I'm telling you, it is a very deep stretch, so be mindful. So it's almost more of a stretch when you just have one leg out there than both legs out to the side. Good. So one more breath there. And then come on, back up. Now we're going to twist. We're going to twist towards our left, towards that bent leg a little bit, and just let ourselves just wind on around. You can look a little behind yourself if you want to, or you can look to the side. Just let it feel really good. It's almost like just a relief. Good. And then come on back into center and bring that leg back forward and go ahead and bring both feet forward for a second. Shake your legs out a little bit. And now all we're going to do is the other side. So the left leg comes out to the side more. The right foot comes in. And again, this is a different leg. So, you'll know if you're like already going, there is no way that's going to be there. You can use support if you need it. Blankets or blocks. Especially when you start to move forward, though, is often a time you'll feel too much happening in that knee, right? So adjust where your foot is. If it's really uncomfortable, don't even do it. Just keep that leg long, right? And let yourself focus where you can find that inner thigh stretch, but not to where it puts any undue pressure of discomfort.
Is this the part?
Yeah, you're going to feel it in the inside of the...
Here.
You're feeling it more here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because I'm all messed up over here.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's the side that you're having some...
I'm having issues.
Yeah. Well, we're all having issues with something.
Isn't that the case?
Yeah. So take your time. Be easy. Just really let yourself find the stretch that feels good. And then as we come up, Again, we're going to add that twist, remember. So you're going to twist towards that bent leg, toward your right. And it doesn't matter how far, just ease your way. Let it feel like a relief as you come around into that twist. Good. Think about the left toes and the left knee facing up towards the ceiling. So you're engaged a little bit in that leg that you just stretched out your inner thigh on. There you go. Good. Now one more breath. And then use your belly to bring you back. And we're going to bring both legs in front of us again and kind of shake them out a little bit. And now bring your hands behind you. Let's bend our knees, put our feet on the floor. And you know, you don't have to lift up into any kind of a four-footed table if you don't want to. You can just draw your chest a little forward, and you can turn your hands whatever way feels good for your shoulders. And if your wrists are bothering you and you don't want to do that at all, you can actually come back on blocks on your forearms so you get out of your hands and open your chest that way, right? Or, if you do want to try four-footed tables, sometimes blocks make it easier to lift up your hips as well. So, you know, if that feels like fun, you can try that. I know most people don't really think of this as a very fun pose. It is in the wrist big time, yeah. You can also, you know, try doing it on fists, but I actually wouldn't recommend that so much. Or you can do this thing with the blocks and see if it kind of takes it out of your wrist going different heights. I like to use blocks because I like to then do little tricep push-ups, right? So you can like actually really get into your triceps when you're here. But don't do too many because you'll be paying for it later. They get really sore. So when you're ready, you come on back down. And take care of your wrists, especially if you lift it up into that four-footed table. Come on forward a little bit. Think of coming forward from your low back. And I know some of you, really, it feels just like a huge relief to reach down towards your ankles or your feet. But as you come into a seated forward bend, you know, let it feel like you're coming forward from your low back. And you can go ahead and let your head hang, maybe even round some at the end. You know that. Just be mindful. Let it feel good. Bend the knees if you need. Even put a rolled blanket or blocks underneath your knees can feel good. One more breath there. And then we're going to release to come on back onto our backs on the floor once we get up. So take your time and come on down. Have your blocks handy here by you in case you want them. And once you get yourself down, put your feet on the floor. Let your knees just come side to side a little bit. Just shifting as far over as you want with your knees. Let your back release. And then bring your arms down alongside you, and let's do a little bridge pose. So you can either bend your elbows if you like that robot arms feeling, or you can have your arms long. Press into the backs of the shoulders, the arms. You can roll your shoulders under if you like when you get up there. And you can stay pressing into the feet, feeling your quads engaging a little bit there. You can move up and down. You know, some people like to inhale up into a bridge and exhale, come back down, right? If moving feels really good to you right now, then do it. If you prefer to go up into that bridge pose and stay, or get blocks and bring them underneath your sacrum and be in supported bridge, then you can do that, and you can really relax into the pose that way. We are going to make our way back down from bridge pose. Once you get down with your hips, cross your right thigh over your left like you're woman cross-legged, and then bring your knees in towards your chest. And you can flex your feet, you can hold either knee, you can hold behind the thighs if you want to. Just let it feel really good to let your low back release to the floor. Enjoy that stretch through, probably you'll feel it more in the right hip. And then bring that left foot back down because you're going to uncross your thighs, your legs, and go to the other side. Left thigh comes over the right. And bring the knees in towards your chest. Doesn't matter where you hold or if you hold, really. I mean, if you're like, I just want to let my knees come in and just release, not even hold on, you don't have to. Or you can hold behind your thigh. Or you can hold your knee. Flex through both your feet. So you're feeling an engagement up into the hips, especially that left hip where you're really getting a stretch. Good. And then we'll release. Bring the right foot down, uncross the legs. Bring your arms out beside you into a T position. Let your feet be on the floor. Good. And then from here, all we're going to do is let our knees come over to the left. And then once you're there, see if you can lift your right foot off the floor and extend your leg out longer. So you may be keeping your legs side by side. And you might go, oh, I want that leg to come up higher. I mean, if you want the leg to come up higher, you can kind of use your right hand your left hand if you want to come up on the leg there or to support the leg even. I mean, you can use your left hand kind of like a stand to hold up the leg if you want. But see if you can just let it come a little longer somewhere. And you might really feel it in the outside of that leg, just telling you, into the buttock there. And then bend the knee again, bring the feet closer together and come on back up to center. Lift your hips up for a second, kind of square your hips off. It's like a little mini bridge pose. And then come down and bring your knees over to the right. And once they start to come down, extend the left leg out a little bit. Doesn't matter if it comes all the way straight, but it's the idea, right? And again, you can decide if you want the foot to come up higher or if you like the knees to stay more in line. You know, again, it doesn't have to go totally straight. Just let it feel good. Good. One more breath. And then bend the left knee back so you can bring your feet back to the floor and the knees back up into the center there. Go ahead and lift your hips up again, kind of straighten your spine out. And then bring your knees in towards your chest. Let your feet stay somewhat together. Separate your knees, coming on into a little Baddha Konasana here. So your hands, if you can come to the inside of your legs and either hold your shins, your ankles, or some of you might want to go ahead and wrap your hands around your feet so that you come over the tops of the feet and clasp your hands around the outside edges of your feet. But, you know, that is totally up to you and your hips. If you want this to feel like a big, huge relief for your hips and your low back. So don't force anything. Just be mindful, and when you want to come out of that, by all means do. If you'd rather do a little happy baby pose, feel free to do a little happy baby pose. If you need another little twist of some kind or anything else, really. It's going to help you feel better. Take your time. I'm going to start to get lights and bring then things that might help you if you'd like some support for Shavasana. Since we're at the wall today, if anybody wants to turn and put their legs up the wall, you can. You can let your legs come up the wall, and that will, for some people, that really releases their low back. And that it kind of depends how close, if you want to do that, how close you get to the wall with your hips. You know, you might want to be pretty close. You might want a blanket underneath your low back. You might want to be kind of far and let your knees be bent. In other words, everybody is how your body feels after all we just did, and you know, it's not gonna be the same every time we finish the yoga class on how you feel, so. I'm gonna start to look around for bolster. People who might want bolsters for under their knees. So if you wave your hand at me, oh, she might want one. Well, see how that feels when you come down. If you need a blanket, let me know. Like for either cover or for under your head. Judy, yeah. Oh yes, so wave at me. The idea of some kind of support sounds good. Let me know. Just wave at me. And of course, if you need to wiggle your way into Shavasana and move a little bit here, do. As you start to release now, into your breath. So letting yourself follow your breaths in and out. And now that you've been there a second, if you change your mind and you need something, let me know. And then just be with your own breath. Just accept your breaths. In and out. Letting that wave-like quality of your breath help your mind and your body to find those little quiet places. And when your mind wanders, just come back again to your breath, following it in and out. It gets easier. The mind and the body respond to the breath quieting. And then you have that time to benefit in those little quiet places. You have time to benefit from all you just did. Just by letting yourself completely and fully relax. accepting your breaths in a little deeper and fuller. Imagining those deeper breaths coming into letting you feel refreshed. So you bring more air in and you feel those exhales bringing you into wanting to move again, fingers and toes and hands and feet. And take your time when you start to move into the body, into your arms, your legs, and into maybe bringing your knees in or stretching out. Just be mindful, and again, just let your body do what it needs to do to come back into naturally moving again. You know you're welcome to stay on your back or to roll onto either your right or your left side. If you like staying on your side, you can have your knees soft and be in a fetal position there. You can just give your body and your brain a little adjustment time. So that when you feel ready to rise up, it feels like you're ready to get yourself back upright. Sometimes that takes a while to get comfortable too in how you're sitting, and letting your eyes stay closed or closing them again once you get up so that you can really feel inwardly focused a little bit longer. Feeling your focus stay with your breath once you're seated comfortably. Watching your breath coming in and going out, feeling good about having your head again up on top there. And on your next exhale, letting your hands come to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Monday, everybody. Happy New Week. October is flying by.